Hey everyone, today I got another build video for you. This time it's a Vanguard build, sort of calling it a Balin build for this one just for simplicity, though this can work with any of the Vanguards, whichever one you choose to run, whether it be Tristan, Tegir, Boudicca, whoever, it doesn't really matter. And that's because this build doesn't really revolve around any particular skill some of them may have, or even really damage dealing. Vanguards don't struggle with that, so I don't really have a lot here optimized in terms of showing off damage dealing potential. There aren't many ways or any combinations that I've currently found that just open up some sort of spike in their damage that is just noticeable over their normal damage. What is special about this build is its mobility. So there's a lot of stuff to go into for this. Let's just get to it. Starting with the essences, as usual. I don't have a lot on my Balin because I just kind of made him for the sake of this build as I was going through the game. He's not really a mainstay on this team, but if your Vanguard is a mainstay on your team, there's definitely going to be some essences you can put on your Vanguard to boost their performance. If they're your primary damage dealer, you're obviously going to want the Essence of Extermination to get that extra AP on kill. That actually will really help make this build continue through the entirety of a turn much easier. You'll get that basically full refund whenever you kill someone with a strike attack. I think Essence of Mutilation is actually a really strong pick for Vanguards, since they get 2 swings, each one having that 10% chance to deal double. I give them Essence of Dodge. They're not super tanky, so I think this isn't a bad choice on them as a form of defensiveness. Boudicca, I think, does benefit the most off of this because she does have dodge chance built into her skill tree. And beyond that sort of dealer's choice, they don't really need a lot in the way of defensives because of their hide skill. So if you're not running any champions, the Essence of Crushing for that extra armor break could be useful, so that way you have a more stable supply of armor break. As you can see, Vanguards don't really have a whole lot normally. Moving away from essences, we get to gear, and this is the most important part. As I sort of alluded to in the beginning, this is an extremely mobile build, and that's because of 2 pieces, and I'm going to show these off first. The first one is the Soul Snare Sigil. This is a Soul Merchant seasonal relic, and this has a lot of good things on it. However, the main focus here is movement costs 33% less AP. And this is pretty good on its own, being able to get a good amount of extra movement. 33% may not sound like a whole lot, but you will be surprised in how much you notice the amount of distance you are able to travel even further and still get an attack in. Prior to this chest on this save file, I was running around with a level 5 chest because it had this same effect of movement costing 33% less AP, and I used it through my entire run. And that's because there's an accessory you can get that combos with it, the Vanguard Provision Forerunner's Harness. This is a level 20 version. There is a lower level version of it. And again, the main focus here is movement costs 33% less AP. These effects stack. You will be able to cross the entire map and still get an attack in on pretty much any level. It's absolutely nuts. The level 20 version is much better than the lower level version, of course. And I come across this item fairly often, so it's not going to require a whole lot of luck, I think, to get it. But the extra abilities on this just really help it go even further. Provides a flat +2 movement AP, which is great given the 66% reduction we're getting. And movement skills can be used for movement AP. That's really good. That just gives you a lot of extra mobility and even extra attack, and I'll get to that in a second when I get to the skill portion. There's an extra bonus damage effect in here. You gain 14 damage for 1 turn after using a movement skill. Basically, you use jump, go run in, attack someone, you get a nice big boost to that first hit you land on them. For these other 2 items, they're not nearly as important as these two. These two 100% make up the core of the build, but I do think this Sign of the Hawk offers a little bit over a lot of the other weapons. Ultimately, you can just pick the highest damage weapon you find possible, and that'll be great. However, this one, for one, it does offer a free basic attack at the start of each turn, so you're pretty much guaranteed to get an attack every single turn, even if you do have to cross the entire map to reach an enemy. But a big one on this is you gain 2 movement AP for each kill, and that's incredible because you can get a lot of distance out of those 2 movement AP. It also gives good damage bonuses, +7 for melee basic attack and 9 for backstab against a bleeding unit. So if you have someone that can set bleed, this can synergize well off of it. For the jewelry here, +12 damage while in a duel, you can get that very often. A lot of players confuse the duel bonus here. This does not mean the event duels. The duel status effect, for the sake of item bonuses, just means when your hero is 1v1ing an enemy, and neither of them have any units adjacent to either of them. And you pick off targets very often with Vanguard, so you will get this +12 a lot. Again, just another +5 damage for backstabs, and 2 HP for each hit while in a duel. That middle ability, not great. The last one, nice bonus effect for damage. This one really is probably the least important part of this build in particular I have here. I really do think this weapon here is probably one of the best ones you could get with this build, but it's not nearly as crucial as the armor and the provision. Going into skills, there's not a whole lot to talk about here because it's a fairly standard Vanguard build skill-wise. You pick a lot of the same stuff with every Vanguard. The only thing I really want to point out is it's, I think, a little more important that you pick up all of these extra movement AP options here, because this 3 movement AP with the gear bonuses we have turns into like 10 tiles of movement, right? Or more. I'm not super sure on the math, but it's a lot. Now, the Forerunner's Harness I mentioned enables us a free attack. That's because of jumping attack. I know when I did my tier list on active skills, jumping attack was one of the abilities that came up probably the most in terms of people disagreeing with my take on it. But with this build in particular, jumping attack is amazing because you will have so much movement AP if you're running the Sign of the Hawk weapon and you're using so little of it. You stack up movement AP so quickly where you'll be ending your turn with like 1 AP but 9 movement AP. Jumping attack counts as a movement skill. You can see it's tagged right there. So you can do this attack for 4 movement AP. It's a free attack, and you will still have plenty of regular AP and other movement AP left over to go on and do normal attacks. I found there's many times where I'm going around getting kills. I don't have enough AP to do a normal attack, but I have enough movement AP to do a jumping attack. I get a kill, I gain AP off of that kill, and now I can go do a normal attack on another enemy. It synergizes very, very well. Jumping attack becomes super, super good with this. Beyond that, just pick up any other abilities and upgrades that give you movement AP, such as Preparation for Hide. You start your turn with 2 movement AP if you start hidden, and Jump giving you a movement AP after using it. Other than that, like I said, pretty standard Vanguard stuff. Take the damage bonuses, avoid the traps for the most part, and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and see this in action, and it's quite a sight. It's pretty fun. Alright, so I skipped through the first round of this fight just because you start off in this enclosed space, so I had to break down a wall and go around. So, ignoring this stuff over here, for our demonstration, we can see Balin's over here in a corner, not even starting in hidden, because I didn't have enough AP for that. Let's go ahead and hide him now, and let's go ahead and take a look at this map. Look how far he can run. And because of that sword we have, no matter how far he runs, he will still be able to get an attack in. So if I just wanted to have him run to the other side of the arena, he could do that. It'd use all of his AP, but he can quite literally cross from one corner of this map to the other. So we're going to go ahead and move over here. And let's go ahead and pop some abilities from our friends here. Take care of this spire. Alright, just doing some stuff with the rest of them. Alright, let's go ahead and we get a free attack in. Re-stealth. Kill. Very nice. So now we're going to re-stealth. And you can see with just 2 AP, so much movement. We're just going to wait here, pass the turn. Put a taunt down on you. Alright, so let's start killing some dudes. Just standard Vanguard shenanigans here. Alright, now we're going to stealth. Let's go ahead and move over this way. Alright, and now we only have 3 AP, but we have a movement AP, which lets us use jumping attack. So we could hit him here. We won't be able to kill him, so let's go ahead and weaken him real quick. Something like this. And now jumping attack should kill. There you go, we got that AP refund, so now we can end our turn in stealth. Jumping attack, off cooldown. We only have a 1-turn cooldown on it. All this movement AP we start with, free attack. Let's go ahead and do jump. We'll get that damage bonus. We have that plus 14 for using a movement ability, which we actually also got off of using jump attack. You can just see we can cross so much space here without having to worry about ever being like, man, will I have enough AP to reach them? The answer will always be yes. And from that fight there, you can see the gameplay loop is basically just the same as normal Vanguard. The only real change there is your ability to use jumping attack every single turn as essentially a free attack. So that can help get some extra chip damage in for your main, strike attacks to secure kills a bit easier. I think that is a nice addition to the gameplay loop. But the other big change to it, while it doesn't really change the playstyle, it enables it far more. You can see we could just run around enemy to enemy to enemy without ever having to worry about conserving much AP. It's always just like, okay, killed him, let's go get him. Killed him, let's go get this other guy. Because we never have to worry about, will we have enough? With Hyde costing 1 AP, the odds of us accidentally running out due to not calculating our movement amount correctly is nearly a non-factor. That wraps it up for this build. Probably one of my shortest builds I've put out there, but there isn't a whole lot to talk about here. It's largely just these 2 pieces here. I didn't feel the need to throw in a second fight like I usually do, because I don't think there would have been anything else to really show off. Anything really different from that one. The main thing I'm really showing here is just the ability to use jump attack essentially for free and just the crazy amount of movement you got. This build is extremely consistent. You should be able to get this on any run as long as you're keeping a lookout for this piece here. I've watched a couple other players playthroughs like on Twitch and stuff, and I've seen this item come up for other players as well. It comes up for me a lot. And this is a guaranteed piece you can get every single run because it's a soul merchant piece. So if you're really maybe having some trouble in the end game and you're running a Vanguard, this build right here I think can definitely alleviate a lot of the problems you're having and make your runs go much easier and much smoother. The ability to just run across the map and always get an attack in is probably the largest indirect damage boost you could get for any character really in the entire game, and this just does that to a crazy degree. If you can get something that generates movement AP on kill, even better. Other than that, just kind of go with whatever you normally go with for your Vanguards in terms of your skills here, and I'm sure you'll do fine. I hope you enjoyed this build and some of you found it helpful, and as always, thank you for watching.